Bang! Neeves Knives, I'm Jared. You guys might remember this TACRAY that I talk about often. I did not know that it was discontinued. I love this knife, but now they have a new version. Instead of this Harpoon modified blade shape, you have a Harpoon straight clip point blade. Still in ZDP 189 and still just as thin. If you know the Raccoon tie, the Vosteed Raccoon tie slim, extremely thin. Think like the Benchmade Narrows. That is the way this is. It is very slim, just like this, but you know, this knife. And that is what I love about it. I love how slim it is. Now with this one, I love this one. I wish they didn't discontinue it. I'm guessing some people were just a little bit too scared to sharpen the tanto, even though this is an easy tanto because you don't have to do it. You can literally do the whole edge in one swoop. I have another knife I'm going to do a video about like that, but let's check this one out. So we still have ZDP 189. ZDP 189 steel is a very high edge retention steel, but it's a very high edge retention steel that does not get its edge retention from carbides. I should make this clear exactly what I mean, because ZDP 189 does have high amounts of carbide, but it's chromium carbide, not vanadium carbide. Chromium carbide is softer than like aluminum oxide, which is why it can be sharpened with basically any stones. You don't need diamonds. Now I do recommend using diamonds because of its high hardness, and it's just much better to sharpen on, especially for, you know, high wear resistant steels. But it doesn't have the, you know, the other carbides, which are the carbides which require diamonds to sharpen them in order to cut them properly. So when I say it's, you know, it doesn't have the carbides, I'm specifically talking about those carbides, the carbides which would require diamonds to sharpen, and how most steels get their high performance edges or high performance edge retention steels from is from those type of carbides. This being the chromium carbides, it's, you know, it has carbides, but it's not the same thing. So again, it's a little bit different than a lot of other steels with its performance and high heart, just everything about it, which is also why it is such a spectacular steel for so many applications. So the core of this steel is ZDP 189, and then the jacket is something else. And you can see this one has that copper separation, which I think looks really cool. I wish this one had the copper, but it still is a Sanmai, so the jacket's going to be more stain resistant and a little bit tougher, but you're still going to get that insane edge retention and sharpness from ZDP 189. Now, typical steels that take very high sharpness edges typically have two things in common. Not all, but most have toughness and edge retention. So it doesn't mean that they have high in either one, but they have a decent amount of toughness and a decent amount of edge retention, which equals super sharp edges. This, unlike most steels, has low toughness but high edge retention from the high hardness. But I think the reason why it still takes those incredibly sharp, fine edges, even if it's a mirror polish edge, and that's what I'm getting to, is like that even with a mirror polish, it still takes a very sharp edge. But I think it's because it doesn't really have carbide, so it's getting it all from high hardness. Rockstead uses this steel. They've been using it for a long time. You can think about their knives. So they have some of the sharpest knives out of the box because they do a zero grind with a full convex, but those are very thick grinds though, always. This is super slicey, very thin, very slicey, and it's why I love it. Super lightweight. Like when you have it in the package, you almost don't know there's a knife in there. You grab it and you feel like it's empty. That's how light it is. And it has titanium scales, lots of milling on the inside to bring down the weight even more. The clip is a little bit different than the original. The original's clip was a little bit shorter. This one is a little bit longer, so that makes it even better. And that clip was good on that other one because they do, like I say, wrap around to the back, which makes it to where you're gonna have much more spring. Now, to be fair, this one actually has much more tension than I would think it would have, being this type of clip, but you can easily, you know, just use it and, you know, and it'll wind up breaking in and get much more spring. This one, unlike the original, also has a glass breaker. So it has the same style standoff or whatever you want to call it, backspacer. But if you look, there's no other thing. It's just this piece right here that you screw in right there. So there's actually this one. Yeah. So you have the screw inside the hole right there, underneath the clip, and this side, and then that's holding in the backspacer. So very minimal. Excuse me. So, but now it does have the glass breaker, which is awesome. I'm not sure if that's tungsten carbide or not. You know, with enough force, I'm sure it'll break glass regardless. But typically, if it's tungsten carbide or ceramic, it works a lot easier for breaking glass. The thumb stud placement is really good, and because this is thinner right here, so if you look, you see these chamfers right there. This is actually slimmer, so they made it slimmer right here along this edge and right here, which is perfect because now the thumb studs are, one, they would have been easy either way, but because of, you can feel the texture, so you know right when you're there, and all you do is go straight up and you're hitting it. It just falls right into place. It feels really good. You don't even need to follow this little track, but you can, but it's just your fingers just placed in the perfect position to kick that blade out, and with, you know, good detent and good locking system that's very fidget friendly, it is really awesome. And the thumb studs are a good size. They're not super big, but they are also removable. You know, I guess if you did want to, you know, trade them out, you could, but they work really good. Great traction, great size, great everything. Again, man, because of how slim this is, it's not something you're wanting to bear down on going through super dense things, but because it's so slicey, because of this blade geometry, it slices very, very well. So if you are gonna have to cut through dense stuff, the blade is really good at passing the materials, but the handle, a bit too slim to get like that super comfortable grip. But in return, what I think is awesome is if you're just using your knife for regular cutting, you know, cutting a rope here and there, cutting a strap, breaking down a little bit of cardboard, opening some boxes, packages, whatever, this is awesome because it's so slim, it's easy to carry. You don't even know it's in your pocket. You can literally carry these carry this in basketball shorts or jogging pants. This is like a good gym knife. If you want a gym knife that's still a full-size knife, this is great. It's got this nice texturing on the titanium, which does, you know, give you a little bit of traction in the hand. You have a spot right there, actually here and here, so you're not gonna slide up the blade. They do a great job with their lock geometry. So I know a lot of people don't really like plunge locks right now because of so many companies failing. They have done really good. So this thing is a damn bang fault, just like this one. And this one never even got a smidgen of play. It has always been absolutely bank fault solid, no fail whatsoever. And the same thing with this one. I have a little tiny bit of stick, which I prefer. Now, that's not like it's hurting my finger to push the button. It just makes that sound. But that reassures me that lock is engaged nice and strong, which is what I want. I want to know, and I'm doing it right at the tip. You can see that I'm doing it right at the tip. So, and it has no failure, no problems, rock solid. And for how slim this is, that's really good. And, you know, it's just the geometry of this plunge, because it's a nice large plunge. It just makes it a lot stronger. Let's talk about some nitpicks and negatives really quick. So I do have a few of those. One, because they did a new model, I don't know why they didn't improve the plunge guide and sharpening choil. Now, because of the plunge, if you look, this is where it hits. So that is basically the detent. The plunge enters in there, and that acts as the detent, which is good. Thumb stud placement's really good, action's really good, very drop shutty, super fidget friendly. Every time I get this in my hand, I can't stop fidgeting with it. Very fidget friendly, especially if you love thumb stud action. However, with that being said, it having the good detent, or what acts as a detent with the plunge, it is really close to the edge. Now, it's not too close. They still did separate it, but I wish they would have just made a little space here. All they had to do was go just like this. Leave that the way it is, and then just cut that out. I know it kind of looks like a little sharp corner. Maybe you don't have to make it that big. Maybe make a finger choil. I don't know, but just something to where you can separate this end of the plunge grind from the edge. If the plunge grind ends right here, which is at the edge right now, then start the edge farther up so that it's avoiding it. No matter what, I'm going to hit this damn plunge grind when I sharpen. So when I go to sharpen, well, here, we can just use the strop. You can see right here, in order for me to start my edge right there, I'm gonna hit the plunge grind because the plunge grind hits the edge. So I can't sharpen this without creating a smile. That is what I would like to prevent. I'd like that to be gone. So just having a nice little, separation right there would be awesome. Anyways, it's not a deal breaker. It's not that big of a deal. I can still sharpen it. It's just going to have a smile. I could add my own choil in there, but I don't want to have to. I do love a good harpoon because the tip is barely above the center line of the knife. The center is actually right here. So it's actually perfectly aligned with the center of the knife, which the pivot is just a little bit lower than. So getting utility cuts, you do not lose any leverage. This is going to be very similar to the way a sheep's foot works, or, something like that. Like great utility cuts, just enough amount of belly to cut down on a flat surface, perfect straight edge for slicing, lots of cool, qualities about a blade shape like this, especially with this geometry. The only other nitpick I guess I have is that this is a T6 under there. This one's a T8, I think. Wait, no, maybe it's not. I might be wrong actually now. Is this a T8? Oh yeah, okay. So both of these are T6s. So I wish that in this screw was a T8, just like the pivot, one bit to do everything. And especially because this is limited to those screws and it's so important because of the clip, you don't want to accidentally, strip those out. So just saying, I would way more prefer that. Another thing is I wish the blade steel was labeled on this one. It doesn't need to be big like that or anything. It could be very small, but just, it could be in the spine. It could be on the inside, just somewhere where it's labeled so I know, if you ever, pass it down or, somebody gets it that doesn't know steels that well, it's good for them to be able to have those details. I like that they took away TACRAY from right here though. So shout out to them for doing that. You don't have TACRAY written anywhere. You just have the logo on the pivot, which I like. So awesome work on that. All in all, badassery all the way around. These things are priced extremely well, like extremely well. You're getting a super steel that's super high quality that you technically don't even need to use diamonds to sharpen. I would recommend using diamonds to sharpen this, but you don't need it. You don't have to worry about that. But I would recommend still using it because of the high hardness. It'll just make it easier to sharpen. And you can get to those super fine edges if you want to with a bonded diamond. Regardless though, you don't need it, and it will be a very easy knife to sharpen because it's so thin behind the edge. I love it, man. I've loved this knife. I carry it constantly. As soon as I got these new ones, I started carrying it right away because it's a perfect summer knife. And yeah, so again, I would love to see a new version like this, maybe like a Wharncliffe, a Harpoon Wharncliffe that's a real Wharncliffe, or maybe some sort of sharp sheep's foot so that you don't have the secondary tip, because I'm guessing that's what probably limited the amount of people from getting it. But we'll see how it goes now. I totally recommend it. Like I said, man, badass all the way around, super lightweight, super slim, super slicey, great to carry, work hard, stay tough. Until next time, peace.